welcome to Mindful Me. I'm your host, Dr. Marga, family medicine physician and life coach, practicing medical aesthetics and wellness based in Greater Boston in Wellesley and Needham, Massachusetts. This health and wellness show was born out of the needs I saw as a medical doctor. People are curious and are even demanding information and options on how to get healthier, and more importantly, how do we improve our quality of life? And quality of life is simply, how do I feel good from moment to moment, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day? It is my goal to highlight to you, our viewers at home, the knowledge and experience of various experts from both mainstream and complementary disciplines to inspire action in our communities in the areas of self-care and self-development, physically, mentally, and energetically. Today's guest is Emily Taradash, professional wingwoman. Emily is a professional wingwoman in love and life. He's a life coach and a stand-up comic. Inspired by the road to romance with her now husband after being ghosted by a sushi chef, she launched Your Married Wingwoman to help jilted singles heal, to let go of past hurts, and finally meet the right partner. Emily preaches that true love with others starts by knowing yourself, then uncovers the traits you'd like in a partner with you before you meet that partner in real life. She likes to say, delete your dating apps so you can stop swiping and start falling in love. Emily is a seasoned theater artist and former faculty member holding a BA from the University of Vermont and an MFA from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. She designed costumes nationally and internationally, working on over 100 shows in a 16-year period before leaving her teaching job to pursue coaching and comedy in 2021. Always in motion, she currently splits her time with Rhode Island and Kansas and loves spending time with her husband Joe and their 2 cats. Welcome back, Emily Taradash.
Thank you so much, Marga. Happy to be back.
We were excited to have you back because we felt like there was so much wisdom. We felt like we'd only scratched the surface with you, specifically because there is all the experience you shared personally, but what has blossomed from that in terms of how have you connected with people on their hurts and challenges in the dating world, and what kind of starting points have you provided for them? I feel like you have like key things that this audience could digest even with our short show.
Sure. So, I mean, dating apps are sort of an obvious first choice, but I think some people rush to them and they go to them a little too quickly. So you're single suddenly, maybe you're divorced midlife, you weren't expecting to be single. Oh no, how am I going to meet someone? I can't date people at work. That's not, okay. And then what ifs, like we get stuck in the what ifs, like, well, what if I do, and then I'll have to leave this job, blah, 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 and then you just don't do anything. Or people are very risk averse in midlife. So what you have to do, love, is requiring of faith. It's requiring of self-knowledge and that you're feeling enough acceptance with yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you're perfect. That means that you know who you are, you know where you're at, and you have things that you're happy about in your life. That doesn't mean that you gloss over pain, you express it fully, and move on. Sometimes you do that, in therapy or whatever. There's a lot of like pre-work that you have to do. But some people just go, oh, I'm single, great. Let's fix that problem and go to an app and start swiping. And you're bringing all of that unhealed stuff with you. And then I remember growing up and hearing about everyone's baggage, right? Like adults were like, oh, that person has too much baggage, da, 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 da. So there's a lot of judgment, so much judgment. And the apps are really set up in a way to judge other people. So you have to be mindful about that. And you have to get to a place where you're like, I'm okay with who I am and I'm okay to be judged, right? And that takes a certain level of inner strength. Now, you don't have to meet people on the apps. And oftentimes people get stuck in this sort of addictive cycle of swiping and matching and then matching, and then matching again, and then matching with another person instead of actually setting up dates and going on dates. And it's true. Like, they're just so excited. They're like collected a little Easter egg basket of matches, and then they're like, I'm just gonna look at you, not talk to you, and just be like, yay, I'm loved. That's good. That's enough. So if you're craving to have actual companionship in your life, you have to first get really clear about, okay, what are the things that you really like? What are you curious about? And sort of approaching everything in dating with this curiosity and anticipation of curiosity. What am I going to discover about this person? I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here on this TV show with you because I get to, talk about this, but I get to hear about you and I get to play in this new vein. So that's the same thing. It's that leading with curiosity without expectation. Mm-hmm. So you're not going into a date with a checklist, right? Don't do that. That is a recipe for disappointment. And then when we have that disappointment over and over and over again, then we go, I'm not really good at this whole love thing, so I'll just check out over here and like play video games or watch cat videos or whatever, where it's safe. Look, I think that's great. You should do it in some, small amount, but if it's something that you truly desire to be in partnership with someone else, then it's really about slowly coming out and making yourself seen. And so for that, I would start with things that you like to do, without the expectation that your partner will necessarily be there, but that the connections that you meet in that activity might be a connection to love. So, for example, you go to a meetup. Maybe you like to go hiking. And you decide, I'm going to go hiking in a new place. Something, I haven't done this before. This is fun. This is new. You're meeting new people, and you're having a new experience. Well, everybody there may or may not be single, or may or may not live nearby, or whatever. But you're going open, right? Because we don't live these static lives.
Speaking of open, so I've heard us talk about judgment. I've heard talking about being open. What is the not to list, and what is the yes, I should present myself this way list?
Sure.
And that's because of the show Mindful Me. Like, you were telling people that mindlessly they go straight to the apps, and,
right.
And you're promoting, even in folks, you have to catch the first episode. In her first episode, she was talking about that window and that space she created for self-reflection. So along that line, walk us through that. What should they be mindful of instead of the mindless straight to the dating apps, click, click, click?
Mm-hmm. So when we're being mindful of the things that are our yeses, right? Oh, I love it when a partner does this. And that might be based on previous experience, or it might be based on something that didn't happen that you really want to happen. So, what are your values? What is it important that your partner shares in values with you? And it has to come from that, not this person's hot, I like what they're wearing, I like their car, oh, look, that's a big fish. There's a lot of fishing pictures on dating apps.
Oh my God.
It's okay. Anyway, moving on. So I think that it's very quick to judge a book by its cover, right? And I think when we're swiping on dating apps, it's always about the picture, right? So if you are going to go on dating apps, pick a picture that looks like you, first of all. Be representational, not aspirational, okay? Be real about, this is what I look like. That doesn't mean that you should overshare and, take a picture of you, not clad in anything or anything like that. You have to follow the guidelines of whatever app you're on, but, you want to show up as yourself, right? And you want to show up as yourself feeling good. So if there's any anger, resentment, hurt, anything there, that's going to come through. And so that's why I don't necessarily recommend that if you're just starting to date again, that you jump right to the apps. You really want to do that first step of, okay, who am I? What do I like? Really nurture yourself, right? Then the second one is like, who piques my interest? Now, it could be that there's certain physicalities of a person, but that's you never know. There's pheromones, like when you get in person with someone, you never know what's gonna do it for you. And again, so it's like that openness. So that's a green flag. If you're feeling open and comfortable, then that is generally a really great
I love the
thing.
pheromones.
Yeah, there's
so
pheromones.
animalistic.
Yeah, we totally are. We are little animals, you know. We're little love gremlins, you know. So I think that it's playful, right? Like it's play. That's what we want, and that the ability to put your guard down and really trust someone, even in the first couple meetings, give it that space. Be gracious, right? And practice graciousness. So when you're practicing graciousness for yourself, there's also the practice of receiving, right? So on the first date I went on with my now husband, we went out to brunch, and then we were having such a good time that we just like drove around in his car and did more things. So we had like 5 dates in one day. And we ended up at this florist in Little Compton, Rhode Island. And I bought him an orchid. And I still remember I bought it for him, and he blushed. He just broke out in this huge blush, and it was so sweet. And he later told me, he's like, no one had ever bought me a flower before, you know, and that meant something to him. He's a very dear man. And I think that, again, like just a little give, right? It's about give and take. And so before we get into the sort of obligation of relationships and marriage, you know, you want to make sure that the fun is there and that there's sweetness, if that is an important value for you.
Definitely. More on that when we return.
Imagine always being front row to plays like this.
Ollie comes up with it. Up front, have it go. Yeah! Woo!
Or this. And even this.
Hoffmeister gets the corner, and he gets around the whole corner. And Matt, he could go all the way.
Being able to capture high school sports at their highest level.
And the Rockets are going to win it. Oh,
Chmielewski under it, and the Rockets are state champions! The Needham Rockets have done it again! A three-peat!
Here at the Needham channel, you can do all of those things and more. Plus, we definitely have our fun here too. Interested? We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at sports@needhamchannel.org or visit our website needhamchannel.org for more information.
Welcome back to Mindful Me for our quote of the day. If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Dolly Parton. Emily, thank you so much for coming back with us. More of that internal work that I'm getting from you, and mindful internal work that is preparatory to meeting a partner, the one, however you'd like to call it. I love how you had your own self-reflections on your success and also the unfortunate events. But I want to also hear what you're getting from your community. What questions are you getting that are, like, I would say, the grittiest, most troublesome areas of that world?
Oh, most troublesome. I would say it's so much about trusting people and not jumping the gun. And how do you navigate having sex again after not having sex for a long time, if you're divorced and separated? And, you know, again, that's that sort of self-shame, right? And that's that not accepting of, like, this is what I like and this is how I like to be loved. But I think that before we get to that, it's really about generously coming together. So right now, I'm having a lot of people come to me and say, you know, I really like this person, I'm attracted to them, but we have really differing worldviews, you know? and that we can't agree on these things, and that we are sort of having fights about different things, and they're devolving into a lot of drama. And so what I say to that is it's a move on sort of situation, you know, and that's a really great place to practice forgiveness. I do think that culturally we're going to have a lot of success when we are able to trust ourselves and then love again as a group, and to be able to have intimate conversations where we're just listening and not judging one another. So I think that is a thing I'm hearing quite a lot, actually, and that there's a softness to relationships, and to being with another person. You can't control what they're going to do. That's not healthy, you know. So, but you can control somewhat what you do and how you behave and how you show up. So, how am I showing up to a date? Okay, well, how would you like to be received, right? I would like to wear this. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel confident. I want to feel like no matter what happens, I'm going to have a great time. And that's not overlooking, you know, the other person. That's integrating with the other person. Having those personal boundaries about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable on the first date. Not going back to old beliefs about, well, I shouldn't sleep with someone on the first date, or I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't do that. You know, like release all the sort of previous values and check in with yourself. You're driving the bus. You're making the decision. So make the decision from a place of heart and from a place of truth for yourself. Because for me, it's about love leading, not fear leading. So
Yes.
if you're leading in fear with the dating world, it's time to tap out for a little while, like take a little time out and get back into the energy of love and acceptance and joy.
I just wanted to call out that for fear leading, fear is like the sneakiest thing. I think a lot of people are not aware of so many versions of fear. The stuckness to me is fear, because you're not moving. Doubting yourself is fear, but some people justify it and say, because I want to be stable, secure. And to be honest, it's a game of balance, but we do have to be aware. I think that if I could give everyone like screeners or shades, to just see it and recognize it, first of all, that there is the unhappiness and the lack of joy always comes home to that fear emotion. And versus what love feels like. Even just being gracious and giving space to yourself on what you're ready for and what you're not ready for. I feel like listening to you, what I'm getting is almost like a narrator in a story where there's two of you and you're the narrator and there's the player, but she's watching herself. Well, maybe because that's your vibe, the theater. Mm-hmm. like you're watching, let's say, this person's life, and you're like almost like an angel on her shoulder. Well, and then she's the player, and she or he can observe themselves, play it out, and just have you examine and help them in their mindful journey of dating.
Absolutely. That's it. You hit the nail on the head. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is, when you have a wingwoman, it's about, you know, it's having someone who's not necessarily close to you in your life, giving you objective view and just holding up a mirror. Mm-mm. And that's compassionate, right? And it's compassionate to face yourself, and it's compassionate to be honest with yourself. And when you do that for yourself, you can do it for other people. You can. And so practicing, right? And slowly practicing and letting you fall into a pothole every once in a while, you know, because we don't just get back on the horse and everything's fine sometimes, but the learning process can be one that is full of mistakes and that's full of, you know, missteps. And I've had plenty, but, you know, the miracle's always coming, right? Like, and holding out for that. So miracles happen every day. And they happen in relationships all the time. But it's about the commitment of showing up and really seeing things in a wonderful way, and deciding that there's plenty of things to be down about in the world, you know?
Another area that I'm wondering if you've come across are committed people in a relationship seeking how to grow their relationship? More of like almost instead of just getting by, thriving. Have you
Yes.
been approached by those that experience?
Yes, sometimes. And oftentimes, what's so interesting is it's people not honestly talking to each other. And I see this a lot with couples who have young children. And there's this sort of like survival mode. We're just in the trenches and we got to get through this and we got to pick them up and move around, you know. And to live that whole way is exhausting and frankly, I think a disservice to people's lives because you only get that child for a little while at that age and enjoying it even when you're really tired. And if you're really tired, then it's an opportunity for you to say, okay, what can I do differently so I can show up in more energy and love? And what can I do differently so I'm supporting my partner so that we're flowing together and we are partners and we are helping each other be well, as opposed to fighting each other. We're on the same team. So it's all about like, come back to the same team. Let's get together.
I love it. Thank you so much for spending more time with us.
Thank you.
I hope all of you at home are like drinking in all of this self-reflection that talking to Emily, it feels like you're talking to Emily, that's the effect that we'd like, to go in deeper about your relationships and your happiness. This has been another episode of Mindful Me. Please email us at mindfulmetv@gmail.com and watch for us on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks again.